Hello, this is Sean Taylor, and Elles Bailey's just fallen over. She's obviously drunk. This is Sean Taylor, and I am talking today with an amazing songwriter, troubadour, road warrior, and I am delighted to welcome Elles Bailey. How's it going?
I'm definitely not drunk. I mean,
It's
it is
okay if you
only
are. I,
10:52.
I, I think a lot of you, if you were. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right. So what's been happening?
Uh, yeah, it's pretty chaotic at the moment. It's chaotic because I decided to take a month off and go to New Zealand,
Yeah.
and it was kind of a month off, but I did some shows as well because I'm a road warrior
You
and that's
certainly
what I
are.
do. But then I broke my phone, didn't have like any access to internet or anything for a while, which was absolute utter bliss. But it did mean that when I got home and I got back into like releasing music because I have an album coming out on March 17th. There was just a lot of stuff to do, and I feel like I'm drowning, but it's all good because we're getting there, and the album is coming out, and yeah, it's all good. It's all good. How are
I'm
you?
glad you're smiling. You say you're drowning, but you're smiling, which is good. Most people don't smile when they drown. Anyway, that all sounds good. So this set of interviews, talking with great artists like yourself about creativity and the process for writing songs. I mean, do you have a process that is a schedule in your day, or how does it work?
No, not at all. It's kind of ad hoc. I like to make. I like to collaborate with other artists and other songwriters, probably because I find it now really, really hard to find the creative space to write, to like schedule time, being like, right, today, Els, you are going to write a song and you're going to do it by yourself. And there's just because I am my own label, because
Yeah,
I do everything. I There's always something to do, which takes away from the creativity. It's kind of like uh, I'm at that stage, and it's a great stage to be. Like I'm hugely independent. I've done everything myself, but I am at the stage where I have to let go so that I can sit at a piano and write a song and not have to schedule in a songwrite with someone else, because I know that's the only way I'm going to write music at the moment. So honestly, like that's sort of where I am at the moment. So actually, after this, I have a meeting with a website designer, and then I have a songwrite. Someone's coming over here, which I'm really excited about. But yeah, I mean, I have no rhyme. I have no reason. I I There's no pattern. It's not like the lyrics come first or the melody comes first. And there's so many different ways in which you can songwrite, which is quite exciting. So at the moment, I've got someone in Glasgow just sort of sending me some lyrics and some ideas, and we've not actually got on a Zoom or anything or met up in person yet. But I actually think a song will come of it. We just need to sort of focus some time together, because it's a really cool idea. And then last night I did a Zoom with a writer called Aaron Lee Tajian, who I'm a big fan of. He's a great artist, and he was in Nashville, and it was over Zoom. And I haven't written over Zoom for a really long while, but that in itself is a whole different process than sitting in a room with someone and coming up with something. It could be like the Zoom world. It, like now you can't sort of jut in with the conversation because it will all just be a little bit kind of strange, won't it? And that's kind of what writing over Zoom is like. And you sort of have to wait for them to play a little bit, and then you can be like, well, no, actually, why don't you try that melody like this? So, but we wrote a really cool song. So, and I feel I am writing again, which is great, because I think writing is the hard. Where have you gone? Oh, there you are. We're back. Welcome to the
you
dystopian world of
froze. You
Zoom.
froze. I thought you froze. I heard most of that, but you did freeze for a minute. That's great. You've just answered quite a lot of the initial questions I was going to ask, which is great. And I was going to talk about co-writing. You said it's with Zoom, you have to kind of obviously arrange a meeting. But just talk about like in a room with someone. Is it spontaneous, or has it ever been spontaneous with someone when you're just working with them, touring with them, and it's like, oh, that's nice? Or do you have to sort of sit down and say, right, this is right in time, and I'm not going to check my phone, or how does it work? Has it been different each time?
Yeah, I think I am a little bit more like this is writing time. I don't really tend to write on tour. I often say I will, but I find that the touring headspace is not a headspace that I can write in. Because actually when I tour, I just feel like I go into survival mode. It's like, am I getting enough sleep? Am I drinking enough water? Is my voice okay? Like, and you don't want to, and I think so when you songwrite, because you're not doing anything with muscle memory, you're creating new movements on your vocal cords. It's actually really, really tiring. It's vocally tiring. You're finding new places to go. Whereas when you're on tour and you're playing songs that you've played before, there's a lot of muscle memory in that.
Yeah,
So, but you have to save that for the gig. So I probably wouldn't songwrite whilst I'm on tour just because it's so exhausting. And I get exhausted songwriting, like finding lyrics and going into that really creative sort of opening yourself up. It's like that's not for me to do on tour, I don't think. And all hail to people who do that. Like that blows my mind.
that's interesting because you do tour a lot. I mean, the road you call home is your thing, and I mean, yeah, how. So did you basically kind of come off tour and think, right, this is the time for writing? But I mean, you write about touring quite often, don't you? You talk about inspiration comes from touring. So do you keep a notebook, or or just use your
Yeah,
phone, or?
yeah, so I use my phone. I wish I had a notebook because, one day I could write a song like American Pie and then sell the lyrics that I scribbled down. I think that what it is the 12 sets of handwritten lyrics that he had for millions and millions and millions. That's a whole other
Yeah,
story.
no,
No, look at you, random crap. I love it.
no
I
offense,
use
it's
my
just for everyone.
phone. Although actually, like I did on my Zoom the other night, this is right where I wrote. I did actually use a pad of paper,
Wow.
so I can't read any of it. But
Get a
but
clipboard. That really scares people. It's true.
we are writing a song now. Now, what I tend to do is I do get inspiration all the time. I do think that the world we live in now, all the sort of access to technology, the fact that we are walking around with something that we can write a song on, record a voice note, it it has led me to be a lazier songwriter in the sense of like I'll come up with this great idea and I'll write it down, I'll record it, but then I won't write it for a few weeks because you know I didn't have to do it then and there because
Yeah,
I could save the idea straight away. Whereas when I first started writing, when I was like 13, 14 years old, I had to write the whole song and then learn it. And that was the only way I could like remember it, because I didn't, I mean, I'm sure there were dictaphones, but I didn't have one. So, songwriting has changed as technology has changed for me. I've written, well, this is brilliant. I love this. I've written with Roger Cook quite a few times. He's a really, really incredible writer, an absolute legend, to be honest. And I've sat at his grand piano, and on his grand piano is an old little tape recorder, and he clicks. He still
yeah.
records on the tape. I was like, Roger, you're such a legend.
And you talked then about your first song when you were 13, right? Could I ask what that was about, or why you decided to write a song at that
Uh,
point?
I, I I can still remember it. Like, it was very it's kind of, and do you know it's probably the mantra that I've lived, but it was like you can be who you want to be, you can go where you want to go, you can do what you want to do. You've only got one chance. No, you've only got one life. You've only got one chance to do it. So that was the lyrics of my
I like
first
that.
ever song.
And have you recorded that?
I probably did about um 20 something years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah.
20. Okay, it's good. Has a good kind of positivity kind of feel to it.
It was definitely very positive, very honest, and very sweet. I'm glad my songwriting has got better. I'm not gonna
This, I was
lie.
going to go on to the song "Cheats and Liars" because I was digging the lyrics of that. There's a nice bit of anger in that. I like that as a
Well,
left
I
winger.
know I know you're very political, Sean, so I thought you'd quite like that one. I had like this most incredible moment actually when the song was released, and suddenly I started getting loads of comments on the YouTube video. I was like, "Where's all this coming from?" And Janice Ian had shared the song
Oh wow!
on her Facebook and was like, "I don't know anything about this artist, but I've just heard the song and I think the lyrics are amazing." So shared the lyrics and then the YouTube video, which was, as you can imagine, Janice Ian. It blew my mind a tiny little bit. So to have someone like Grammy award winner share your lyrics, I think, and
Yeah,
that for me, like when someone shares something about your song, it's not about your performance. It's like that's something that I've written, that was a part of me and I felt incredibly passionate about. So I wrote it with a friend of mine called Ash Tucker. We've written loads together. And I think on my latest record, we wrote Cheats and Liars, Halfway House, and The Game. He wrote Road I Call Home with me, Foolish Hearts. Yeah, we Hell or High Water. So we've collaborated a lot. He's a really, really fabulous writer and lives just around the corner, which is great. But when we got together, so it was a scheduled songwriting trip, and when we got together, he the 2020 October budget had just dropped, and you know the arts had just been sold down the river
yeah.
as always. And I was listening to a Radio 4 interview with some Tory MP, and they specifically said, "What about musicians? What about artists?" And he just said, "Well, they're gonna have to retrain." And do you know what? I was pissed off. I was really, really pissed off. It'd been the arts and the musicians and the entertainers, the comedians who had spread love and had spread light and had got in front of a camera just like this and tried to spread hope in this time of hopelessness and connection in this time of isolation. And as always, the government had sold us down the river. And I was angry. And I wrote Cheats and Liars, and I was like, Rishi Sunak, I hope you sing yourself to sleep.
I like that. I like that. I hope they let us include this bit. Anyway, never mind. I digress. Another song I heard you do, and correct me if I got the title wrong, was when I saw you play recently in the Netherlands. You did a song called "Woman."
Women like me.
Woman like me. Yeah, sorry. That was really great. I had a great groove to it as well as the lyrics. Was that written with Tamara? Am I right saying Tamara Stewart?
Yeah, Tamara Stewart and Joe Wilkins, who plays guitar with me. So we were
How did
in
that happen?
Nashville. Well, we were in Nashville. Actually, Joe and I were over. So here's something. The only time where I break my touring and not writing is when I go to Nashville, because you're in Nashville. Like, you're obviously going to write music. You've got a pool of incredible songwriters around you and like ridiculous amounts of inspiration. So Joe and I were over for Americana first, and I just sort of become friends with Tamara at that point, and she was coming on the tour with us. Oh, this was 2018 actually, and she was going to do my Road I Call Home tour, and we just got together, and Joe just came up with that really cool groove, and we just wrote something that was just like confidently about being a woman in the 21st century and being proud of that, and owning who you are. So that's what Women Like Me is about.
It's a really great song, and I remember that. This kind of goes into the next thing because I first met you at a really cool house concert called the Little Rabbit Barn. That maybe we'll talk about in a minute, but I'd heard about you, and I thought, oh, it's good to hear her music. And I remember it was a great gig, great performance, but I also really liked the way that you were on stage, like you are now, and that you are off stage. It wasn't like some you didn't put on a costume or nothing. You were just you. And I've met a lot of artists. A lot of artists are great, but it's really hard when you're on stage and you're kind of wired and you come off and you have to kind of come down. And I find it hard myself. But you are just you all the time, and it's very endearing because it's like there's no act. I don't maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not an act. It just seems like you.
I think I'm very much, it is me. I do often wonder. I think the whole putting on makeup and putting on like something cool to wear, it is part of, it's maybe a heightened version of myself, because genuinely most of the time I just want to be in a tracksuit and have greasy hair and not wear any makeup. So there's that part of me, and the sort of, I guess, the image part, which maybe is a little bit sort of different. But I guess when it's, you know, that's just image, and I am me, just maybe it's slightly heightened on stage just because of the lights and the makeup and the feathers in my hair.
It works. Makeup doesn't work for me either. I've tried. But anyway, all the feathers in the hair that scared people. But anyway, no, it really works. I mean, because it's genuine, and I thought that really was impressive. Like the way, I mean, it's impressive being you, but it was just genuine, and I think audiences respond to people who are genuine if they're proper music fans, and I really like that. It's really cool. Let's talk a bit about kind of genres, because like I talked at the beginning about, you got Americana in there, you got blues in there, you got rock in there. Um, I mean, you've obviously been successful with the Americana Awards and the Blues Awards. Where do you see what you do? I suppose you get sick of being asked this, but where do you see what you do?
I think I've just always Bob Harris asked me this the other day, and it was at the at Americana Fest, and we were doing a songwriting um sort of songwriting round that was compared by Bob, and talking about, you know, who we are. And he asked me exactly this, and I'm going to say the same thing. It's incredibly deep right now. Okay, uh, my favorite type of food is tapas. Okay, I like a little bit of everything. I feel like that's probably how I write my songs as well. I'll just
Yeah,
take a little bit of everything, and if that's okay, great. Uh, it's not deep in the slightest, but I do like tapas. You were like, really? This is deep. I had tapas last night. It's the best type of food. Little mini dishes. Uh, it doesn't have to be Spanish. It could be any type of tapas. Uh, but genuinely, I just want to write honest music. I don't, it doesn't have to be framed in any way. I feel incredibly grateful that the Americana world, that the blues world, that the rock world have like massively championed me. Uh, but I don't really want to be defined by any genre. I I just I just want to be me. And that is tapas. I'll take a little bit of everything.
I'm glad you didn't say McDonald's. I think I'd have stopped the recording. Tapas is good. I like food analogies. I just read Mary Gautier's book, and she was a former chef, and she's got all these food analogies for everything that I don't, as a non-cook, not a very good cook, I don't really understand. But it's a good book.
I have the book next to my bed. I haven't read it yet, so I'm
Good.
going to take it on tour with me. Very excited. I was in, I mean, Mary Gauthier is just wonderful. She played Bristol, and quite a few of us, like Lady Nade, Ash, Joe, my guitarist, and Holly Carter, we all went down and we watched her. And at the end of the show, like for her last song, she turns around and was like, there's an artist in the room who's been singing one of my songs. Would she like? And she was like, she's nominated for Artist of the Year at the Americana Awards. Elles, would you like to come up and sing this song with me?
Wow.
And she gave Lady Nade a shout out as well. And it was just it was so sweet. She was so genuine. I forgot all the words. I absolutely messed it up. I was like, I've just totally ruined your impeccable song. But it just, like, to have that was just, I was very incredibly humbled. And so yeah, she's an absolute legend, and what a songwriter. Mercy Now just becomes more and more relevant as the days and weeks go on.
Could you see yourself writing some sort of book about songwriting, the process of songwriting? Because I always find this thing whenever I've gone into music shops looking for books on songwriting, right? They'll have 1,000 books on how to play the ukulele, and then they'll have three on songwriting, and one of them will be a mindfulness one, which will say hum and meditate, which is cool. But there's hardly any book. There's not that many books. I think Heart and Soul. There's one by Paul Zollo. I think about 10 or something I've seen. And Mary Gautier's book on songwriting. Would you ever think about sharing your secrets, or how would?
I don't know
No
if I have
interest.
any secrets, you know,
Yeah.
that's sort of like, what are my secrets on songwriting? I don't know. I think maybe as I get older, I've always wanted to write a book. I think you're the first person I've ever told this. But I think I think I have a book in me. However, I think it's a fiction. I think it's a
Fiction,
fiction.
right? Okay.
It's probably romantic fiction. Um, but I don't know. There's and actually, I'm sure Mary Gauthier says this. Writing a book is very different to writing a song, and I love the fact that I can I can be here, and in 3 hours' time, I can have a finished song. Like you can be here, and you can take something from nothing, and then 3 hours later, it's a song. I don't quite think I could write a book in 3 hours.
No,
So
I don't think someone's probably done that, but not very well.
yeah,
Maybe James Joyce could do it better. That is amazing. Thank you, Els. We've got just a couple more minutes. Yeah, I asked about Little Rabbit Barn, and I got to give them a shout out because they're great and they're amazing. It's a house concert near Colchester, ran by Jonathan, Lynn, Terry, and a bunch of people. And do you want to tell them about that? You can big them up. I've just bigged them up because they're great. They're
yeah.
magical people.
I love them. They came and watched me at the stables in Milton Keynes literally just last week. So they're just wonderful human beings who build and I said just, not just in the slightest, they're wonderful human beings. They build a barn every month, or they build a sort of marquee off their little barn. And they have two little rabbits, don't they? Oh, we love the bunnies, and they cook for everybody and they put music on. It's really rooted in sort of Americana and folk. They bring people from all over the world, people like Hannah Aldridge, the Wandering Hearts have played there. We've played there
Yeah.
together. Mara Stewart, Jackie Bristow. Like they curate a great lineup. They're always, you know, they're inclusive, they're diverse, and they're just, you know, it's all about the music, and that's what is so great about the grass music scene, the grassroots music scene. There's so many people who love music and who just do it for the love, and that's exactly what Little Rabbit Barn is all about.
Right. Thank you so much, Elles Bailey. We're about to be cut off. Massive shout out. I'm going to do a picture of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. It's been
Oh, so
great.
nice to see you, babe. Lots of love.
All the best. See you later.